My friend inherited this coin collection from a relative and needed help. So this video features grading it. Watch if you're in the same situation. Stay tuned. Hi collectors, thanks for watching. I'm the collector of coins. And if you're not a collector and watching, that means you may be in the same situation where you inherited a coin collection from a relative and you're not sure what it's worth. So this video, I'm going to grade all the coins in this collection. I'm not going to feature every single coin being graded. I'll do the highlights here in the video. But I will show you how I do it. We're going to check for some varieties and we're going to look at some pretty cool coins. All right. And by the way, I'm hoping if you're not a subscriber that you would consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. I normally do coin rolls and I normally hunt for coins, but this is part of my collector's series. And so we're going to be looking at a collection. All right, I'll bring you in and we're going to do this methodically, starting with the album with the pennies, nickels and dimes, moving on to quarters, and then to half dollars and dollars. And there's some really nice dollars here to look at. All right, stay tuned. I'll bring you in when there's something good to look at. Okay, collectors. Well, a little bit of a disclaimer. I am not a professional grader. If you've seen some of my videos, I tend to overgrade. So for this video, I'm gonna be a little more conservative. Some of the coins have grades on them. I'm gonna use those as benchmarks. I'm gonna use a website, PCGS photo grade website that has great reference photos. And for both, in addition to that, for grading and values, I'm gonna use two very popular coin references. The the Red Book of US Coins. So this is the guidebook rather, but it's known as the official Red Book because it's red cover. And they have descriptions on the in here that describe what to look for conditions, such as this. And I'll use that with the reference photos from PhotoGrade, but we'll use this also as a price guide for insurance purposes. These tend to be the values of the coins, even though this is 2020. I'm still going to use it as a reference for valuation. And then I have the blue book, which is basically indicative of what a coin dealer is likely to pay for the coin. So you'll get the appraisal value and quite possibly what the value is in terms of selling it. All right, so with that, I got all the coins already. I've gone through, I've graded them all. They're all cataloged, they're in a laptop. So what I'll do is we'll go through some of the highlights in this album. There are quite a lot of coins. There are a lot of modern coins. We're not gonna grade those because those really have to be in very high uncirculated condition and preferably certified by a professional coin grader. But we will go back and focus on the wheat pennies. And there are quite a number of wheat pennies in here, some of which are pretty nice to look at and have decent value. And then of course, we'll look at some of the other coins in all these albums. All right, so stay tuned, I'll bring you back in. Okay, collectors, so we're gonna start with some of the Indian pennies. I'm gonna take a look at an example, the 1898 here. We will slide out. I'm gonna have to put this down to slide this out, so hang on. So I'll put this underneath the microscope to look at. You can see Liberty, or a lot of the aspects of Liberty. So I basically assigned this in a fine 12 grade. It's a nice looking coin. I did look for the varieties. I did look for the FS 401 and 402. This did not have the variety indications for those. The back, or I should say the reverse of the coin, has decent detail still. So all around, you know, just a generally high circulated condition, but still fine 12. All right, so as reference now, I went into the Red Book, went to the set section. Gotta get through these. Okay, so we have Indian cents. And we look for 1898. $18.98. We can see that almost 50 million were minted. In fine condition, it's worth $5. That's pretty nice. So we'll go to the blue book just to see as a reference what a coin dealer may pay. $18.98. Third column. $1.30. So as you can see, the coin has more collector value than necessarily what a dealer would pay, because obviously a dealer has to make some profit. But all in all, a pretty nice Indian head cent. Let's grab a highlight from the Lincolns, the wheat cents. Hang on. Okay, so collectors, on average, the value of the pennies, the wheat pennies, were roughly about 3 to 4 cents each. There were a couple that were worth more. There was one that was worth considerably more, and I would consider this the highlight of the pennies, which is this 1922D, which the collector, and this is a grandparent of a friend of mine, wrote fine condition. I do agree that it is fine. I believe they paid $8.50 for it. We'll get it underneath the microscope so you can see it. Date is clear. Still have some good details on Lincoln. If you look at the reverse, you can see that the wheat stalks, have most of the definition. Not all the lines, somewhere, which is the description for fine. So we'll take a look at the red book. Wheat lines, worn but visible. Now again, I did look at a reference photo to compare, but here we have the 1922D, fairly lower mintage, 7 million, worth $25. So not bad. So if this was purchased, I don't know what year it was purchased, but if they paid $8.50, from a value perspective, they did quite well. All right, so what is a dealer most likely going to pay for this? So let's get to the page in the blue book. And 1922D, fine condition, you can see the third column, $9. So they paid $8.50. A dealer most likely will pay $9 for it. Not a big profit, but again, depends what you're trying to do. If you're a collector, your goal is to collect one of every kind, or at least in this case, this collection has many examples where the collector looked like they were trying to collect one of every kind. But that, I think, is the highlight of the pennies. Let's move on to the nickels. Figured I'd show you a few page flips. We got some steel pennies, coming to the end of the Wheaties. Most of them are brown. Got a nice red-brown 1959D. And as we get into the memorial back, you can see that the condition is beginning to get better and better, because this is probably taken out of circulation closer to the time that the collector was active. And given sort of the condition of the late 70s coins, this is probably when the collector was most active pulling coins out of circulation. That would be my guess. All right, so we're moving on to the Buffalo nickels here. We got quite a number of them. They're largely worn. Let me take a look at which is the most desirable one that I think. So hang on. Okay, well, we have a Liberty head nickel from 1910, written coronet. I believe it's more generally known as a Liberty nickel, or the V nickel, because there's a V representing Roman numeral 5 on the back. This one worth about $2. Dealer will probably pay closer to $1. I would say the average value of these Buffalo nickels is probably around $1.50 to $2. There are a few exceptions to that, although dealer will most likely pay between 40 and 55 cents for them, with the exception of this 1920 Buffalo, which And I assigned a grade of VF, very fine 20. Hard to slide out with one hand, but here we go. VF 20. A lot of detail still left of the buffalo with the bison in the back. And in this condition, worth about $7 according to the red book, and a dealer most likely would pay, according to the blue book, around $250. So this is probably the nicest buffalo nickel in this collection. Again, the vast majority of them are between good to fine 12. All right, so we'll pop this one back in, and we'll take a look at some of the Jefferson nickels in one moment. So we have some of the early Jeffersons down at the bottom of this page, running up to the top of the page. There are no key dates or semi-key dates in this collection. There are a couple of silver wartime nickels. I would say that the average value of the nickels, assuming that they aren't damaged, there's a bunch of them that are damaged, so I didn't assign really any grade, but looking at fine 12, very good 8, a couple of examples that are a little higher, worth about $1.30 to about $2 in the very early years, prior to, I would say 1950. And if you've seen my coin roll hunting videos, this is largely the condition of coins that I'm pulling out of circulation, with some exceptions where I've actually pulled out coins in higher grades. This 19, where is it here? Yeah, this 64D is nice, but I'm finding in circulation from coin rolls, coins that are even better shape than these. So again, they're few and far between. So again, very typical kind of collection. It's nice, good collector, but not a lot of value here, relatively speaking. Wait till we get to the silver though. Hey collectors, let's take a look at this 1943S. We'll slide it out of the album. I believe, yeah, the collector used penny flips on the nickels. So this is a wartime nickel, 1943S. We'll take a look at the reverse. All right, let's take a look at the 1944P. There's the P, hoping that this one is in better condition. And no, it's not. So really what I'm looking for here is very fine or higher, because then the numismatic value is higher than the silver value. But this is just worth silver value, $1.34 right now. Okay, back at silver. I'm gonna pull your attention to the one Standing Liberty quarter in this page of Washington quarters. Let's see if we can pull this out. I think some of these flips are not fully sealed. Yes. So where they weren't fully sealed, I did take a look at the coin more closely. Look at this. This coin is in really great shape. Not uncirculated, unfortunately. And they're somewhere in the high point, so the head strike is quite good. So conservatively, I gave this EF40, extra fine 40 condition. And this is a Type 3 Standing Liberty quarter. Beautiful. It happens to be one of my favorite coins. Worth $40, at least in the red book, and probably a dealer would pay $16. So again, the red book I'm using as insurance value, blue book I'm using for what they most likely could sell it for. Aside from that one, most of these quarters were below EF40. So in those cases, I basically said the value was silver spot value, which right now is around $4.22. I would guess a dealer would be paying under spot, so they can make a profit. I kind of guessed maybe about 80% under spot value. However, there are a number in here like this 1960D, and there are other examples that I think are in extra fine condition, and as such worth more of a collector value rather than these being more junk silver. And so I figured they're about $7. Maybe to a dealer they'd pay $5.60 if they felt that the condition merited this. Some of them, could be sent out for grading. Again, I don't think any are really registering uncirculated, but they're better condition, so someone may pay more than spot silver value on. But I would imagine a dealer would probably pay about $5.60, a little bit higher than the silver price of it, or they would probably just pay at silver. But some really nice Washington quarters in here, and then of course we get into the clad years, which frankly, face value as far as I'm concerned, from a dealer perspective. Collecting perspective, nice coins. But I did want you to see these pages, the Barber dimes, quite a number of them. So even though they're very worn, as you can see, they're worth more than the spot silver value classically because of the low mintages in general. So these are about worth $4, $3 to $4 in that range, because they're all about good for condition. Dealer's probably going to pay $1.50 to $2. So I kind of averaged that out and said probably about $1.75. Same thing with the Mercury dimes. Mercury dimes, the number of them here, most of them are below a grade that's in the Red Book. Red Book typically started at extra fine 40, or maybe it was very fine. Let me take a look. I don't want to misspeak here. You can see what I was doing and looking at in terms of trying to estimate a value. Let me go back a little bit. A couple pages stuck together. So yeah, those are the Barber dimes. And here's the Mercury. So yeah, the Red Book kind of starts at good. So yeah, so at good condition, $3 to $4. In very good condition, again, you're looking at about $3 to $4. There's some exceptions with the lower mintages. Most of these were in the higher mintages in the later years, in the 40s. So, they're going to be around really mostly spot silver price. None of them were above EF40. The few that were worth about $3.25. Dealer would probably pay about $1.85 for them. But again, let's kind of get into them. Just nice collection. This is probably the one in the nicest condition. But again, in this condition, really worth about $3.25. Dealer would pay $1.80 maybe. We got some early Roosevelt dimes that are silver. Looking at them, really, I think these all kind of fall under the junk silver range of just silver price. And then we get into the modern ones that are clad, that are really just face value. But again, great little collection, very similar to how I started. I would imagine most collections are like this, unless you're a really serious collector where you're doing investments. And in this case, you're most likely getting graded coins, or those that are professionally graded. But let's go to the Morgan dollars. There's one that I think is definitely worth sending out to get graded, and I'll show it to you in a minute. Okay, collectors, so we have an 1878 Morgan dollar, very highly circulated, but it's out of Carson City. It's really nice. Now, I don't think this has been cleaned. It's hard to tell, but I'm going to say it wasn't. If it was, it's been cleaned a long time ago. But let's assume it's not cleaned, right, for all intents and purposes. So in the Red Book here, let's get to the Morgan dollars. There's the peace dollar, the Morgan dollar. Okay, so you can see the descriptions. Really what they're looking for is all the hairlines and all the details on the eagle's breast. Looking for all the details on the eagle's breast and feathers. But we're looking for the 1878 out of Carson City, which I think is on the next page. Pretty low mintage, 2.2 million. And so even though the starting condition here is very fine 20, excuse me, I believe this coin is probably more in very good range. So it's not that high. However, this book reference book I'm using is about a year old. I went up to the PCGS website, assuming this did get graded professionally by PCGS, and assuming it did get a VG10 grade, it's worth $175, and maybe I would guess maybe a dealer would pay, based on the ratio that I'm seeing in between the two price guides, probably about $87.50. Now, if you're a dealer and watching, please comment and let me know your thoughts. What would you pay for this and why? That being said, a lot of the Morgans in here, a few of them do look clean, which is a shame. I think this one has been clean. It's just too bright with the dark spots below it. I also think, let's see, there's another 1878S. This one here looked clean to me in the same way. I think for the most part, these are all genuine. I am questioning this one, and I haven't weighed it yet, and I will. This piece dollar just kind of looks chemically treated. But of all of the dollars that they have, this 1877 is by far the nicest. I would basically say that most of these are probably worth $22 to $40. Probably a dealer would be paying for the ones that are worth $22, probably about $17. For some of the other ones, may pay up to $30. There is a really nice 1897, this one. Let me pull this one out. All right, let me put the phone down. This might be the nicest example out of all of the silver dollars. Again, I'm not a professional grader, but I think this is kind of closing in on AU 50, mainly due to the details in the hairline. Above the ear, you can see it's worn, so it's not uncirculated. You can see some details in the breast feathers too, so maybe an AU. Again, I don't think this one is cleaned, but I could be wrong. Maybe it was dipped. But let's assume it wasn't cleaned, and if not, it'd be worth about $80. And maybe a dealer might pay $60 if they also felt that it wasn't cleaned and viewed it as AU grade. Some may grade it more conservatively as extra fine. But again, I'm thinking this is closer to AU. So for my friend, for insurance purposes, that's what I have valued it at. Okay, and as we flip the page, again, most of the dollars, particularly the piece dollars, were in very fine condition. Again, I'd say they're probably worth between $18 to $30 in these conditions. And then we get into some of the more modern coins, which you can still go to the bank and get. And then we have on the next page, standing Liberty $50, just one of them, worth about $9. I said it's about good condition. Dealer might pay about $7. Again, it's close to about the silver grade. We have a commemorative coin, great shape, maybe AU, but again, not a very valuable commemorative coin. Maybe worth about $10. Dealer may be paying $8. I felt the Franklin was probably very fine, probably around $9 is pretty close to silver. And then all the $50 here are really, again, no real varieties. Spot silver value for the 90% silver, it's about $8, and the silver clad worth about maybe $3.50 most. Dealer probably more paying closer to $2.50, if that, for the partial silver. And that's basically it. It's a nice collection. I put it together, as you can see here, a spreadsheet, so my friend has all the details and can make a informed decision. Maybe all together, I guesstimate that the collection might be worth, from an insurance perspective, around $1,400, and maybe they could sell it for and this might be overly ambitious, but a little around 950 based on the blue book values. So again, dealer may be paying less, maybe paying around this, really depends on the dealer, but trying to be fair to my friends so that they would have a sense as to what the likelihood would be, what the most that they could get if selling it. I think is probably around 950. All right, well, collectors and anyone else tuning in, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm hoping to do more of these. I like going through other people's collections, sharing some knowledge. Again, unfortunately, no real variety, no varieties found, but very cool collection. I appreciate you watching. Please remember to subscribe, and until next time, happy collecting.